Good morning and welcome. I am Stephen C. and you are at Steve O'C's on TikTok Live. It is Sunday, May 25th, 2025, 11 a.m. Central Time. Welcome to A Course in Miracles review. Welcome to this review of Lesson 145 and a corresponding portion of the text, Chapter 17, Section 4. We have been engaged in this practice and in these lives since January 1st, 2025. Everybody knows the rules of the workbook of the Course in Miracles, one lesson per day. Today is the 145th day of the year. We are approaching another month or so, the midpoint of the year. We have passed the spring equinox and are on the journey to the summer solstice, to the high energy of the summer solstice. So, welcome. Thank you for being here. Please like this live, share this live, and follow the account if you missed the live or if you would like to review any of the previous lessons or see what we've been doing since January 1st. You can go to the YouTube channel. There is a link in my account bio. You can search at Steve O'C's, STEVOSEES, or search Stephen C, STEPHENC, on YouTube, and you will find 144 previous discussions, downloads, transmissions over on the YouTube channel. So thank you for being here. Welcome. Thank you for returning. And again, please like the live and also feel free to comment and participate in the discussion here. Please leave your comments and share your metaphysical knowledge, your spiritual knowledge, your esoteric practice, whatever it may be. And so, to begin this live, we begin every session by reading the introduction to the Course in Miracles, the introduction to the text, which says this is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way: nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. A very concise summary of Course in Miracles there in the introduction. We use that as sort of a centering prayer or opening principles to remain aware of as we go through this live today and take a look at lesson 145, which is part of a 10-day review. Lesson 145 today reviews lessons 129 and 130. So if you haven't seen or heard the discussion of lessons 129 and 130, you can go to the YouTube channel, link in the bio, and you can also review those lessons from about a week or 10 days ago. So to begin today with lesson 145, I want to start with the introduction to review 4. This is the fourth review of the lessons of the Course in Miracles. And This particular review takes a look at 2 lessons per day, 20 lessons in total. So the review is a 10-day review period, but there's some important ideas here that are laid out as part of the review, which I'd like to touch on briefly. It says, today we will begin to concentrate on readiness for what will follow next. So this review is not only a review of what has previously been covered, but it's also a preparation for what is to come. And what is to come at this point is unknown, or is forgotten, you could say. But as we begin to approach it, as we begin to approach those new lessons, what we are preparing for will return to our memory, which is what the Course in Miracles is about. Removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is our natural inheritance, as we just read. We review the recent lessons and their central thoughts in such a way as will facilitate the readiness that we would now achieve. Okay, preparation and readiness. There is a central theme that unifies each step in the review we undertake, which can be simply stated in these words: my mind holds only what I think with God. We are preparing ourselves for the actual experience of a non-dual consciousness. One of the central themes, of course, in Miracles, one of the foundational premises of the Course in Miracles, is that we are under the delusion of a split mind. We perceive things as part of the duality of consciousness. And the Course reminds us that that duality, the eating of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, is an unreal state of mind, an unreal state of consciousness, a false state of consciousness. Duality, good and bad, good and evil, light and dark. Although it is necessary for the development of consciousness to enter, the development of consciousness and the development of the world, quote unquote, matter, right? The duality between matter and spirit, for instance. So it is, quote unquote, necessary to experience duality in order to present ourselves with the choice, which is free will, the free will choice to choose between truth or falsehood, reality or illusion. So we immerse ourselves in the illusion, or the dream, as the Course in Miracles calls it. We have undertaken, if you will, a metaphysical experiment, an experiential experiment in consciousness. We have undertaken that metaphysical journey into duality in order to solidify the truth in our own consciousness, in order to realize the true state of our being as co-creators with God, co-creators with the source of everyone and everything. So my mind holds only what I think with God is a sort of lighthouse or directional beacon toward which we can turn the other cheek and orient ourselves toward a non-dual consciousness. My mind holds only what I think with God. The implication being that God does not think of death. God does not think of war, death, destruction, dishonor. Does not exist, is not a part, is not a thought in the mind of God. Therefore, my mind holds only what I think with God. It is reorienting ourselves to the truth, to a non-dual consciousness, to the experience of atonement, the experience of at-one-ment. And the miracle is the device or the instrument to help us to recognize that unification, that unity, that oneness. My mind holds only what I think with God. That is a fact and represents the truth of what you are and what your Father is. The introduction continues. It is this thought by which the Father gave creation to the Son, establishing the Son as co-creator with himself. It is this thought that fully guarantees salvation to the Son, for in his mind no thoughts can dwell but those his Father shares. Lack of forgiveness blocks this thought from his awareness, yet it is forever true. Of course, says only the truth is true. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. The unreality of death. Death does not exist. It is part of an illusion. It is part of an hallucination, part of a dream of death, Shakespeare called it. Continuing with the preparation, it says, let us begin our preparation with some understanding of the many forms in which the lack of true forgiveness may be carefully concealed. Because they are illusions, they are not perceived to be what they are. Defenses that protect your unforgiving thoughts from being seen and recognized. The problem, the central problem of creation in this world is unforgiveness, lack of forgiveness of ourselves, of the world, of everyone we encounter, everyone we see, everyone that makes an impression upon our mind or consciousness. It is the lack of forgiveness, which is a defense against the truth, the Course calls it. This is the mechanism, unforgiveness, condemnation, judgment. This is the mechanism that prevents us from awakening, that prevents us from experiencing the light, from experiencing heaven, which is not a place, but a state of consciousness. Defenses that protect your unforgiving thoughts from being seen and recognized. Unforgiven thoughts, traumas, misperceptions, the shadow, the unconscious shadow, according to Jung. These illusions and defenses, these unreal perceptions or objects in the mind, their purpose is to show you something else and hold correction off through self-deceptions made to take its place, to take the truth's place, to take forgiveness, to take the place of forgiveness. He continues, and yet your mind holds only what you think with God. Your self-deceptions cannot take the place of truth. Only the truth is true. Nothing real can be threatened. No more Then can a child who throws a stick into the ocean change the coming and going of the tides, the warming of the water by the sun, the silver of the moon on it by night? The actions we take in a dream, the things we do in illusions have no effect upon reality. Therefore, no guilt is generated. The Course in Miracles talks about guilt. Of course, guilt, the number one defense against the truth. The feeling of guilt, the feeling that I, as a son of God, as a creation of the Creator, that I am guilty of actions, thoughts, and perceptions that cannot be forgiven, that cannot be undone, according to the Course in Miracles. That guilt, resentments, guilt, grievances, as the Course in Miracles calls it, is the number one offender. My mind holds only what I think with God. God offers thanks to you who practice thus the keeping of his word, and as you give your mind to the ideas for the day, again, before you sleep, his gratitude surrounds you in the peace wherein he wills you be forever, and are learning now to claim again as your inheritance. As we are learning now to remember the truth, to remember the source of our being, to remember that we live, move, and have our being in the source of all creation, the mind of God. We are thoughts in the mind of God. God is a thought. God is mental substance, loving intelligence. God is some form of awareness, some form of consciousness. God is spirit. God is light. We perceive it, we perceive that in consciousness, in awareness. Consciousness as the instrument to perceive the spirit. So lesson 145, my mind holds only what I think with God. This is a review of lesson 129 and 130. 129, that lesson said, beyond this world, there's a world I want. Beyond the world of perception of my five senses, there is another world, or the Course calls it the real world, reality, heaven. It is an inner world. It is found within us. It is reflected outside of us. Therefore, what we perceive with the five senses is a distortion, an illusion. It is an adulteration of perfection. Perfection, the wholeness, the oneness is within us. It is within our consciousness. It is within our being. That world is the world that I want. It is the world from which I emerged, from which I came, to which I will re-merge with, to which I will return. And lesson 130, it is impossible to see two worlds. So the split mind, duality, the personalized consciousness, the personality, the individual consciousness, unconnected to anyone else or anything, anything else, symbolized and represented by the body. I am not a body. I am spirit. I am a spiritual being. I am a spiritual vibration. I am spiritualized light. So as science begins to merge with spirituality, as we begin to understand that everything is vibration, everything is frequency, through quantum physics, through consciousness studies, cognitive psychology, biology, it all begins to merge. It all begins to become one discipline, one conversation, one word, a universe. If we look for it, if we look for the representations of the truth in the world, they are perceptible, they are available. The Holy Spirit will help us see them. The Holy Spirit will help us see them. The Holy Spirit will help us interpret them properly, to facilitate the awakening, to facilitate the awakening to the truth, to facilitate my participation, your participation in salvation, the salvation of the self, the alchemicalization of the small s self to the large S self, the transmutation, the transformation, the resurrection of the mind and the body to a higher vibration, to a higher frequency. So that is lesson 145. Practice of the workbook from the Course in Miracles as part of this review. Remember, this is preparation for what will come next. So a sense of preparation, anticipation, a sense of welcoming something that is on the way as I review these thoughts, as I hold these thoughts, contemplate these thoughts, meditate on these thoughts throughout the day, turn to these thoughts throughout the day. In the introduction to the workbook, the Course says, work with these thoughts. Simply follow the instructions of the workbook, and their meaning and their purpose and their effectiveness will become apparent to you if they are used, if they are engaged with, if they are practiced. If you are new to the Course in Miracles, if you don't have a copy of the text, the entire text, the workbook, the text, and the manual for teachers is online at ACIM.org. It's published by the Foundation for Inner Peace, completely free. So you could go to ACIM.org online. You can read the introduction to the workbook, how it is to be applied, how the workbook lessons are to be used. You can read the preface to the text, which explains how the Course in Miracles came about, what it means, how it was received by Helen Schuckman and William Thetford, how they wrote it, two Columbia psychology professors in the 1970s, how they produced, how this text was produced. Find it all online if you do not have a copy or of the book, if you do not have a copy of the text. So now, after lesson 145, the text, corresponding portion of the text, chapter 17, section 4, is called the Two pictures. This is a key component. This is a very important section of the text. It is a metaphorical presentation of the split mind, and it's calling it here two pictures. Very interesting metaphor, very interesting way of explaining the split mind. Two hemispheres of the brain, if you will, the masculine and the feminine components. The transmissive and the receptive, the masculine and the feminine, the yin and the yang, positive and the negative, the two pictures. So using duality, using separation, the belief in the separation, using what has been constructed, what has been manufactured in our own consciousness, a quote-unquote separation from God, a belief in separation from our source, has created two pictures. Now, the Holy Spirit, the representation of the mind of God, who can see both where we are and where we need to be, of course, says, part of God, the part of the Trinity that can see both pictures and can undo or dissolve or eliminate or ignore one of the pictures so that only the true picture is seen. So the text says today, God established to make you happy, and nothing you do that does not share his purpose can be real. The purpose God ascribed to anything is its only function. So my only function is happiness, according to the Course in Miracles. God established a relationship with me. God created me. God created us to be happy. Right? The pursuit of happiness. God established his relationship with you to make you happy. Nothing you do that does not share that purpose can be real. Purpose God ascribed to anything is its only function. Because of his reason for creating his relationship with you, the function of relationships became forever to make happy, quote unquote. And nothing else, in italics. To fulfill this function, you relate to your creations as God to his. What are my creations? My creations are my thoughts. My thoughts should make me happy. My thoughts should be happy. Only happy thoughts. My mind holds only what I think with God and nothing else. So non-dual consciousness. To fulfill this function, you relate to your creations as God to his, for nothing God created is apart from happiness, and nothing God created but would extend happiness as its creator did. Whatever does not fulfill this function cannot be real. So it's important to go back to these portions of the text also to practice the workbook lessons, because this type of reasoning, this type of thinking that's presented in the text is actually a map, is actually the territory, it's actually the structure of thought, the type or kind of thinking that begins to embed itself in consciousness or reveal itself in consciousness. So that first paragraph there is the type of reasoning that the Holy Spirit gave to Jesus the Christ. The text is Christ consciousness speaking, the voice of Jesus speaking, according to Helen Schuckman, the author. This is the voice of Jesus. It says in the course that Jesus began to listen to the Holy Spirit and listen exclusively to the voice of the Holy Spirit. So it's presented here as a curriculum, as a course of instruction, as a teaching and learning system provided by the Holy Spirit as the translator of God's mind, God's energy, God's intelligence. The Holy Spirit is the bridge to reality. It says here, in this world, it is impossible to create, yet it is possible to make happy. I have said repeatedly that the Holy Spirit would not deprive you of your special relationships, but would transform them. And all that is meant by that is that she will restore to them the function given them by God. And all that is meant by that is that she will restore to them the function given them by God. But the holy relationship shares God's purpose rather than aiming to make a substitute for it. Every special relationship you have made is a substitute for God's will and glorifies your will instead of his, because of the illusion that they are different. One of the lessons in the workbook is also my will and God's will are one. The separated mind, the belief in separation, is a belief that my will can be different from God's will, that there is a will in opposition to God's will. Will in opposition to God's will. The ego mind. You have made very real relationships even in this world, yet you do not recognize them because you have raised their substitutes, special relationships, to such predominance that when truth calls art, the whole is made up of every part. As they operate, they bring it to you. Every defense operates by giving gifts, and the gift is always a miniature of the thought system the defense protects, set in a golden frame. Frame is very elaborate, all set with jewels, deeply carved and polished. Its purpose is to be of value in itself and to divert your attention from what it encloses. But the frame without the picture you cannot have. Defenses operate to make you think you can. So an elaborate frame holding a picture, the frame is golden, very elaborate, set with jewels, deeply carved, polished. It's beautiful, the frame. So that I don't look at the picture, which is a picture of separation, destruction, doom, criticism, condemnation, death. The frame, the metaphor of Osiris, the Egyptian mystery teaching of Osiris, calls this the bejeweled coffin. So in the metaphor of Osiris, Osiris the king becomes drunk. He's presented with a bejeweled coffin by his brother Set. He's drunk. He becomes enamored of the bejeweled coffin. climbs into it, and Set, his brother, who then takes over the kingdom, this is a metaphor now, closes the lid of the coffin on Osiris and traps him in the bejeweled coffin. This is a metaphor for the takeover of consciousness by the ego mind, the separated mind. The theosophists call this glamour, right? Hollywood glamour. It's an illusion. I lived in Los Angeles for 24 years. I was in the hospitality industry. I worked for some of the top companies in Los Angeles who, one of the companies did the governor's balls, the dinners after the Emmys and the Academy Awards. So all the stars, right? It's all an illusion. It's glamorous, but it's a false representation. The red carpets, the celebrities, this and that, it's all, it's an illusion, right? Everything looks different through a camera. Everything looks different under the lights, right? It's like a club or a restaurant after a Friday or a Saturday night and you turn on the lights. It's an illusion. It's a dump. It's been trashed. But under the lights, with the loud music, with the glamour, this is a mind control technique, brainwashing technique, where the ego mind is enamored of the bejeweled coffin or a frame here, intricately carved, polished, set in jewels that is so beautiful it hides the picture, is the metaphor Course in Miracles is using here. The special relationship has the most imposing and deceptive frame of all the defenses the ego uses. And again, you can go to the Course in Miracles, you can look up special relationships. You can search the term special relationship, which is love defined by the ego. Love, of which the other side of the coin is hate. I will love you. It's conditional. I will love you if. I will love you when. I will love you as you form properly. That is the definition of a special relationship. It has the most imposing and deceptive frame of all the defenses the ego uses. Its thought system is offered here, surrounded by a frame so heavy and so elaborate that the picture is almost obliterated by its imposing structure. Into the frame are woven all sorts of fanciful and fragmented illusions of love, set with dreams of sacrifice and self-aggrandizement, and interlaced with gilded threads of self-destruction. The glitter of blood shines like rubies, and the tears are faceted like diamonds and gleam in the dim light in which the offering is made. So the Course says, look at the picture, do not let the frame distract you. You cannot have the frame without the picture. What you value is the frame, for there you see no conflict, yet the frame is only the wrapping for the gift of conflict. The frame is not the gift. Be not deceived by the most superficial aspects of this thought system, for these aspects enclose the whole in every aspect. Let not your gaze dwell on the hypnotic gleaming of the frame. Look at the picture and realize that death is offered you. So a very dramatic, really poetic here description of the ego mind, the mind of selfishness, the mind of self-centeredness. And it goes on to talk about the frame of the Holy Spirit, which represents the holy instant, which is a miniature of heaven sent to you from heaven. It is a picture too set in a frame. Yet if you accept this gift, you will not see the frame at all, because the gift can only be accepted through your willingness to focus all your attention on the picture. The holy instant, this moment of now, no past, no future, is a miniature of eternity. It is a picture of timelessness set in a frame of time. If you focus on the picture, you will realize that it was only the frame that made you think it was a picture. Without the frame, the picture is seen as what it represents. So this is the unification, the atonement. So communication becomes communion, becomes an actual experience, not a bunch of words about the experience, not a description of the experience, not a picture or a painting of the experience, but the actual experience, actual gnosis, experience of Godhead, experience of the truth. So this is what the Course in Miracles is offering, what it is presenting, what it is saying you can and will achieve. No one can fail who seeks to reach the truth. No one can fail who seeks to reach the truth. In fact, reaching the truth, becoming, remembering who I really am, is the only thing that I cannot fail at. Everything else I will fail at. There is one purpose, there is one goal: to wake up to the truth of myself, capital S. I cannot fail. Why can I not fail? Why can I not fail at that? Because it's already true. It's already been accomplished. Past is not real. This dream of consciousness which we are in, we've already awakened from the dream. I have already awakened from the dream. So it's my acceptance of the truth. It is my coming into alignment with the truth, which is my salvation. My salvation comes from myself. Okay, so there are 16 paragraphs here. I'm going to wrap it up now. And I'm going to cover, let's read the last paragraph here. But thank you for being here. Thank you for your likes and your comments. This was lesson 145 today. My mind holds only what I think with God, and we have covered a portion of chapter 17, section 4, the two pictures, very important concept presented in the text. There's two pictures in a split mind. I have to choose one of the pictures to focus on. And what we just read and reviewed and talked about is that one of the pictures is a distraction. It is framed with an elaborate frame of jewels, beautiful wood, exquisitely carved, so that I focus on the frame instead of the picture that it is concealing, the picture that it is distracting me from, which is a picture of conflict. which is a picture of death, the opposite of life, eternal. A dream of death is one picture. The other picture is life, reality, the truth. So the Course is asking, which picture do I want to focus on? Whichever picture I choose to focus upon, I will be helped, I will be taught how to focus on it. Ego will teach me how to focus on the false picture. The Holy Spirit will teach me and help me to focus on truth. So the last paragraph here says, as God ascends into his rightful place and you to yours, you will experience again the meaning of relationship and know it to be true. The only relationship there is, the relationship of myself to my Creator. The relationship of each of us to our Creator is the only true relationship, the holy relationship. Let us ascend in peace together to the Father by giving him ascendance in our minds. We will gain everything by giving him the power and the glory and keeping no illusions of where they are. They are in us through his ascendance. What he has given is his. It shines in every part of him as in the whole. The whole reality of your relationship with him lies in our relationship to one another. The holy instant shines alike on all relationships, for in it they are one. Every relationship, every encounter is a holy encounter, is a holy relationship, is part of a holy instant, is it part of eternity, every moment of now. For here is only healing already complete and perfect, as we said. For here is God, and where he is, only the perfect and complete can be. So this book, this text, the workbook, and advanced metaphysics, esoteric Christianity, Hermeticism, Gnosticism, it's all in here. Whatever discipline you may have studied or be involved in, it really is contained here in the Course in Miracles. It touches on all of them, a universal curriculum, as it says. So thanks for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for the likes, the follows. You can also subscribe to this live and subscribe to the channel to help support this live, which happens every day at 11 a.m. Central Time. You can also go to the YouTube channel and watch any number of discussions, 145 of them now. On the YouTube channel, the link is in the account bio at Steve O'Sees at YouTube, StevoSees. So thanks for being here. Peace and blessings. Love you. Have a great weekend. Have a great day. Have a great Sunday. Go out and enjoy and spread the light. Talk to you soon. Peace.